I have loved these mountains as long as I can remember. Morning is always my very favorite time. I like sunsets and night too, but mornings are the start of a new day. I always look out to see what the sky looks like. It's a new day. There are new opportunities, new ventures.
Way back in the Tow River Valley of the Appalachian Mountains, Nancy McIntyre pays no mind to the cold and rainy morning. It's just another day in this 12-foot by 14-foot cabin that she's called home for many years.
It can be very cold. It can go through you very easily. It went down to 16 below one night. But I have a down sleeping bag and I put a wool blanket inside of it, and I was cozy. The hard part is getting out of bed and starting the fire, but I have right many heavy sweaters and I just keep putting on sweaters. And I sit there and feed the fire till it gets going, and the house warms up quickly. I love this old stove. It's my heat, and I cook on it.
The cooking and heating is done by fire, and water comes from a trickling spring close by. For most of us, this would be a hardship. But for Nancy, life in this tiny cabin without electricity or running water, surrounded by miles and miles of wilderness, is all she ever really wanted.
I like to cook on top of a stove anyway. I mean, I can even make biscuits on top of a stove or corn cakes on top of a stove. I don't have to have the oven. This is the kitchen area, and this is where I sleep at night too. And it's comfortable. It's a comfortable bed. It is 12 feet this way, 14 feet this way. My children have been very concerned about my living alone in a cabin with no running water, no electricity, but they have accepted it, and they laugh about it now. They tell me they just simply gave up on me.
Nancy hasn't always lived such a secluded existence. She worked and raised 4 children in the suburbs, and then she took the term empty nest to a new level. Seems her childhood memories of an old family place in the mountains kept tugging at her heartstrings.
This is a picture of my father when I think he was 12 in that picture. And this is the cabin where I started going when I was 1 month old. And I always loved it. The cabin no longer is there. A huge tree fell on it and collapsed it.
One thing that's carried her through the years is writing. Nancy's an expert and leading advocate on organic farming way before it was fashionable. Her articles have appeared in numerous publications, but it was a little over 2 decades ago when Nancy McIntyre reluctantly took on the task of caregiver.
In 1993, there was what looked like a wolf standing towards the bottom of the hill. The vets were saying part wolf, part dog. Recovering from wounds, it had been found badly wounded. In the 11 years that he lived with me, I never once heard him bark. Now, ever, he never barked. No one else ever heard him bark. Wolves don't bark. They howl. I've heard him howl, and it was one of the most beautiful sounds I've ever heard.
Nancy kept a journal of her 11 years with Luke. Through the long healing process, a rare bond developed between the unlikely pair, up until the day Luke passed away.
And he did die in my arms. I was sitting on the floor holding him when he died. After I wrote the book about Luke, friends were asking to read it. I finally tapped it up so other people could read it, because they certainly couldn't read my handwriting. The name of the book is Rush of River Over Rock. Here the moon hangs damp and close, and stars seem near touching. An unseen life of night lingers in early dew, and the sun rises with ringing echo from 2 ridges and a river over. I know Luke adds to my life, and I would let him choose if he could return to the wild. There is no longer much wild. Like old faces that show craft of bone and paths of a lifetime, Luke and I walk the woods a lot to see what we can see. He practically dances with my laughter, my joy in him. He was a delightful companion, for one thing. But I think the more important thing, perhaps, was he was not all the way wild and he was not all the way tame. And I think in some ways we were kind of kindred spirits in that way. I almost get tears in my eyes just remembering him. But I feel very thankful for that memory.
As full as this mountain wilderness seems, with towering rhododendron and twisting mountain laurel, for one 80-year-old woman, there's an emptiness here that can't be measured. She does venture out now, more than in the past, for book signings and public appearances. A reluctant author who's become somewhat of a regional literary celebrity. Her cabin's always had everything she needs, and now it has something else. Memories.
I've got food, I've got heat, I've got water, I've got the out of doors. So even if I end up living the rest of my life alone, which I would never have imagined, I've enjoyed it anyway.
Looking for more stories like this one? Just hit the subscribe button for more great stories about Texas and Texans.